Great, so let's start with the big idea. So the big idea that I have is to add a week of outdoor education to the curriculum for every student in the province of Ontario. This would mean that at some point in their grade 5 to 9 year, they would attend a week at an accredited summer camp facility. And so, or a camp facility, outdoor education facility. In 2013, I had the privilege to travel to Australia. And my goal in Australia was to visit and tour as many outdoor education centers and summer camps as possible. In the end, I saw just over 15 outdoor education centers, and from Melbourne all the way to Brisbane, over 40 days while driving 7,500 kilometers. I had the opportunity while I was there to talk to the outdoor education professionals who run the program, to the teachers and the students who partake in that program. In Australia, it's part of their culture. In New Zealand, this happens as well. Part of their culture is, and it's expected to go away to camp for 3 to 5 days every year as part of your education. And this got me to thinking about how can we reach more children here in Canada through the power of camp. The University of Waterloo has produced research that essentially validates the power of camp. They've noted that revealed positive development and was noted in 5 development areas. Those 5 areas are social integration and citizenship, attitudes towards physical activity, self-confidence and personal development, and environmental awareness and emotional intelligence. These findings essentially go to the home as well. I ended up discussing these findings with the lead researcher, Dr. Troy Glover, and he happened to be in New Zealand at the time, and his daughter was actually getting ready to go away to a week at camp. And he talked with the principal at her school, and he made a really clear distinction when he talked about the arts and camp and sports, and he called them co-curricular activities, not extracurricular activities. This is the importance of those activities in benefiting what we do as an education. In Ontario, Dr. Glover mentioned that we have a very narrow view of what education is, and we do a lot of math and we do a lot of language, but we don't appreciate how the other things add to that. So let's remember that what I'm proposing is a paradigm shift. It's nothing smaller than that. And to go back to that big idea of allowing for a week at camp. Now there's some numbers that are attached to this, and this is where the idea gets even bigger and bolder. So on average, there's about 135,000 students per cohort, so per grade level in Ontario. And when you cost out camp for a week at camp, including staffing and accommodation and food and supplies and all of those things, it's around $450 to $500 a week. When you multiply those two numbers together, you get a $67.5 million program. Big, bold ideas indeed. And so what happens is, you know, that 65 million is a huge number, but you need to look at it and take it into perspective with what the province of Ontario spends every year in education. So the province spends $22.4 billion with a B dollars every year in education, which means what I'm proposing is 1/3 of 1% of the overall budget. So what it is, you know, so let's talk locally. Essentially, we'll need 130 facilities running 10 weeks of camp to give those 135,000 people, we'll create jobs. Pearce Williams is a year-round facility, has been here for 55 years, running programs for children and youth. We have 200 year-round beds, and 160 of those can be used in the summer. Or sorry, 160 in the winter, 200 in the summer. This program would allow us to run 40 additional weeks of programming outside of the summer, adding $2 million in additional revenues and creating somewhere between 30 and 50 full-time jobs right here in Elgin County. So there's a value to the individual, and that value is that we would produce students who are more well-rounded and getting an experience that they're not getting in the classroom. The value for the community is that we create jobs and we change the thinking and attach this Canadian identity that we think with outdoors to them. And we give them that education. So essentially, I'm not saying this is possible and there would be opposition. What I'm saying is that we need to try. It's just an idea, but ideas change the world.
questions for Joe? Matt?
When I was in grade 9, I went to Pearce Williams for a week. And so the question is, when did that change and why did it change? Why are we doing that anymore?
It changed in the mid-80s. There was a reassessment of facilities and costs within education, and they decided to bring those dollars back and try other things with them. The challenge with that is that you're taking away a component of what we as Canadians call our identity. When we go out to the world, we use nature as part of our identity. That's what we showcase. And there's many people who don't get that now, including the new refugees that are coming in or new Canadians who aren't refugees. They simply won't get any of this experience unless we put it into the education system.
Another question? Karen?
I know that you've got a lot of innovation in your educational programming already. Can you speak to a little bit of some of your...
Yeah, so at Pearce Williams, we probably about 7 years ago, we did a visioning exercise, and we came up with some different streams for education that would set us apart. And one of those is our World Camp, which is poverty and cultural awareness. So on site at Pearce Williams, we have a plan to build structures and huts from around the world that would add a Thailand stilt hut, an Ethiopian hut, a Guatemalan cinder block house, potentially a favela from Brazil. We're working with a group out of Brazil right now. We also have a farm camp program to teach these people about where food comes from and how food happens. And then we're also focusing on the environmental end, which is something that camps need to do and speaks to the idea of outdoor education as part of what we teach, what we do as a camp and an outdoor education center.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Joe.